Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Gina Crosheck joining us here from PrismsScape, and I like your top two. We're both doing red today for the holidays. I said it earlier, you may not have heard, but I was like, oh, we're on the same page. So, yeah, lots of gratitude, lots of holiday cheer, celebration, deer hunting season, as you mentioned, in effect where you are. And that also means cookie and chili making for you.
Yes. That's what my weekend will be filled, and family is what
Beautiful.
my weekend will be filled with.
Well,
So,
thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about PrismsScape, what it is you do, and then we'll get to today's topics as always.
yeah. So PrismsScape is a crystal shop and metaphysical spiritual shop,
Okay.
and with the crystals that we have and a healing center. And we have 6, 7 healers who work out of here, and we have beautiful crystals in all forms, and we're just a place of peace. This one fellow who's a new customer
Oh,
said, this is sort of where I go to church. I just like to come here and just be quiet and work with the crystals. And so we're one of those very special places that are a place of peace and calm in the chaos of the rest of the world.
got
So,
it. Well, thank you for sharing that. And how do we contact you?
www.prismscape.com, and it's PrismsScape.com. And you can send us an email at info@prismscape.com, or you can call us, and our landline is 319-351-2907. And starting next week, we'll be using our cell phone line as well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. And for today, I know we want to talk a lot about relationships. Oh, this is the time of year, right? Family, friends, partners, all the above. And navigating
It
that sometimes
is.
isn't easy, especially during the holidays, let alone when it's not the holidays. So tell us a little bit
Right.
about that. And excuse me, I do have a cough.
Yeah. Well, it is just going around.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about relationships is because oftentimes people would say to me, particularly early on when I was dating George, they would say, well, could we just clone him? Because he's sort of a remarkable person. And I told him he had to come on next week, so you'll have a chance to meet him. But people would say certain things like, oh, well, I would really like someone like him. And the thing is, but then they would start talking about what their expectations were in a relationship. And they would give a whole list of these were the requirements before they would consider really committing themselves to a relationship. And one of the problems is that isn't, well, at least for me, I found that that was the wrong way to go about it. So I opened up when I had decided that I was ready to love again, to have a
Hmm.
partner. I just asked the universe, I said, look, I don't want to date. I have no desire to date. So could you just send me someone who's going to love and accept me and grow with me spiritually? And I met George 5 days later.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow. That says a lot, everyone. It gives us hope, gives me hope.
well, it's really interesting because so many people are going, well, I don't want this person to be like this or like this or like this. And so there were several things early on working with George that because my first husband had been ill for a long time and I was the primary caregiver. And so George had certain health issues. And I had to make the decision as to whether or not I was willing to go live with that. And I realized that one of the things that made him so special is he is more conscious of his body and taking care of himself than anybody I've ever known. And so I said, yeah, I can do this. And so we're in our 19th, going on our 20th year of marriage. And so, but also relationships, I wanted to talk about, and one of the reasons I brought the PTSD kit and the anxiety kit is because um, a lot of times around the holidays, that's when people get traumatized. That's when things happen to them, and particularly children and as adults. A lot of children have, grown children have issues with being able to uh, get past what has happened to them. And too often, I was reading a story of Whitney Houston. And Whitney Houston, because there was a special on PBS, and I didn't know anything about her. And evidently, she and her brother both had been abused by a family member,
Mm.
sexually abused by a family member. And it generally, oftentimes, can happen around holidays. And so that is something that in the work that I've done over the past 20 years is I've discovered that there are so many people out there who have been abused when they were children and they still carry that trauma with them. And so working through those relationships with others is just, it's first, it's important to recognize it. And I was talking with my my friend, and they were talking about the fact that used to you couldn't recognize your trauma. You couldn't speak it out loud. It wasn't allowed. And so this is a gift of the time that we have, and that we're allowing people to be open about trauma. We're most familiar in terms of PTSD with veterans. That's, in fact, I think where we got a lot of that information. But so, yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this is a lot to share today. Thank you so much for sharing this. Ooh, whew, I think I need a coffee.
It is a lot to share.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
well, thank you. It's
No.
very useful. I had because I was really debating, do we focus on talking about relationships, which of course relationships are fun, but one of the things that happens, and we've talked about this a lot, is with among family units or friend units, we find that people sometimes just all of a sudden walk away from you, or they discover that they have to walk away from you because it's no longer healthy for them to be in a friendship or a relationship with you. And understanding why that happens, and it's like from both sides, you're the you're not given a reason why they walked away. We had a couple of friends who did that. They just had been part of the group, and all of a sudden it was like, no, this group isn't the people I need to be with. I need to be with other people. And I think probably one of the most important things in having a really strong relationship in at any level is being honest with yourself, but being honest with the other person and being able to speak your truth.
Uh-uh.
And it's, we're not taught to be honest for the most part.
Yep, very true. Yep.
It's one of those things well, at least I was taught to uh, be very careful about how I worded anything.
Yeah.
And you never
Hmm.
wanted to get someone angry, never wanted to get people upset. And we
Excuse me.
never learned how to be open
No.
and honest with others. And that's one of the things that we're working on. I think all of us have to work on it. It isn't easy, but I think it can happen. So,
Ah, amazing. Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing this. I just want to remind everyone how we can reach out to you. Would you mind sharing with us, Gina, the best forms?
Okay. Okay, so we have a website and it's
Hmm.
www.prismscape, PrismsScape.com. And you can contact us either through our contact us form or send an email to info@prismscape.com. And our phone number is 319-351-2907.
Perfect. And
And we would love to hear from you if you have questions.
awesome. Well, thank you. We still have plenty
Because,
more time to chat. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, and all of our people, the people that work out of here, everyone can do distance work or distance consultation. So I realize you're in New York City and we're in Iowa City, Iowa. And so it's not as easy to just pop by as it would be if we were in New York or vice versa. And so that's why I mentioned that you can always call us. And on our
Well,
website, the people's cell phone numbers are available or their emails are available
got it.
to
Thank
people.
you. Well, also, I know we have more to discuss, obviously, and we're going
Mhm,
to talk more about PTSD kits, anxiety kits, and helping those
mhm.
protect themselves from negative people, energies, entities, all the above, right?
Yes, well, and this is a time where that's very possible. One of the things I would say in terms of protecting ourselves, my dear friend Bonnie Orgren says that this is the time of year when the angels are the closest to the earth. And one of the things that I recommend to everyone is to always call on the angels to ask them to help you or to protect you and surround you. And I was even talking with friends at the shop today because this is the time of year when deer just come out of nowhere and your many a car has been wrecked by coming into contact with a deer. And so I always say, I always ask that the deer stay in the fields and in the ditches and let me get home safely. So, and stay off the roads. And so calling on the angels important or other beings that you rely on to help you is a really good way of
Yeah.
offering yourself protection. And so, other than that, let's just talk. We've mentioned it, but let's go into details about what our PTSD, so it's post-traumatic stress disorder. And we put this kit together, I would say probably 8 or 9 years ago. And it was around the
Yeah.
time, just because we were having people coming back, particularly veterans coming back from different wars. But also, we were discovering that more and more people who had broken relationships were also traumatized. And this was a way of helping people heal from those traumas. And we can
Mhm.
heal. That's one
Yeah.
of the things is that uh, we can definitely heal. One of the things that I've found most beneficial is to, when we're telling our story of trauma, is to be able to start to shift the emotions around that trauma and uh, and to start to unpack it so that the next time you tell the story, it's not nearly as emotion ridden as it had been. And then slowly the story starts to dissipate and starts to no longer reverberate through your body, because one of the things that the crystals are going to help us with the PTSD kit is it helps to shift the vibration in the body when we're telling the story. And so it becomes very important for us to recognize that and understand what's going on with it. So we have one of the things that we talk about in we have a little description of all of the crystals
Okay.
inside the kit so people can better understand what they're getting. But one of the things that's important for releasing trauma and healing the trauma within the body is a thing that's called the Hara line, Hara, the Hara line. And it is connecting us with our I am presence, which is our God presence, which in the teaching that I've studied, the I am presence is about a foot above the head. And so it is linking us. So you've got, we know the 7 chakras, but we're going to go all the way to the 12th chakra. And so connecting that with the I am presence and going down to below us into the center of the earth and having this power line. It doesn't make sense when I say it operates in the 5th dimension, but it operates in an invisible dimension to us, but it's a very beneficial one to become aware of and then to work with it. And so the crystals will help us align with this particular power center within our own bodies and bring it back into alignment. And so we have, with that, with this kit, we have a black tourmaline, and black tourmaline is probably one of the most wonderful stones we have in the shop. It is one that many people know because it works hard all the time, and a lot of people use it on their computer, keep it around their computer to absorb different energies and or they put it in their office to gather up negative energies. And so black tourmaline clears negative energy and strengthens the hara line. And then we have, let's see, this is it. Red tiger's eye.
Pretty.
And so tiger's eye is one of those really cool stones because it has multiple colors.
Yellow, orange, brown, right?
Right.
Hard to see on the screen,
and
but I
it
know
has green and it has blue.
Oh, okay.
And so there are all of these different varieties, but this one is red. And so it reconnects the hara line. What happens when we're traumatized is our hara line, it's like gets bent or it gets totally offline. And so part of your hara line's over here. People who can see these things I've got a friend, Cindy Fox, who's quite excellent at it. It's here, and then it's over here. You're just totally don't ever feel quite right. And part of that is that hara line has been disconnected. And so the red tiger's eye allows you to reconnect your hara line. And then we have black obsidian. So the black stones are very good for helping with clearing negative energy. So the black obsidian it's like got the quality of glass, but it's natural.
Okay.
And it retrieves soul fragments. And one of the things that happens when we're traumatized is parts of us go and hide. And so a lot of times they'll literally be away from us outside of our body because of the trauma in terms of it's just an instinctual way that the body has of protecting itself. And so it fragments. Shamans are particularly well known for helping bring back the fragments of their soul together and bring you back into completeness. And so this is, I jumped ahead. This is Numite that we're working with. And it also helps in opening and balancing your root and your sacral chakra.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have rose quartz, which magnetizes the unconditional. We've talked about rose quartz a lot. It's a worker crystal. And so it magnetizes unconditional love of the divine, heals a broken heart and emotional wounds, and it helps to open and balance the heart chakra. And it's sort of like angels. You can't get enough rose quartz. It just helps us in so many different ways. And then one of the others, all of these have like 8 stones with them, 7 to 8 stones. Petrified wood, and it quiets our primal fears that paralyze us. And that is one of the things that happens with PTSD is that people get so traumatized. The memories are too much. They literally oftentimes will freeze people. You'll see the same thing with anxiety, people who end up in the ER with anxiety attacks because they're right back in that pain and in the emotion and they just are frozen in time. And so the petrified wood helps us deal with that fear. It also helps us get grounded and gives us a stability to foundation and understanding. And it helps us open and balance the root chakra. Because the root chakra, the reason why it's so important in working with the root chakra is because the root chakra says that it gives us permission to be on this planet. It is safe for us to be here. And so for us to be able to solidify that connection with it is going to be very, very important.
Oh, wow.
And then we have this really teeny little stone. It's called a Herkimer diamond. It is double terminated, so it has a point on each end. And the Herkimer diamond helps heal our emotional body. And it helps to manifest purity, dispelling low frequencies and vibration, and it intensifies the potential of other crystals. Well, one reason it helps with other crystals is because it's out of clear quartz. It's just a very unique. In fact, the name Herkimer comes from Herkimer, New York. Have
Oh,
you ever heard of Herkimer, New
never have.
York?
No, never. No.
Well, it is this phenomenal place where these little bitty crystals are. And I was telling someone
Wow.
these Herkimers are
I
from,
went to Howe Caverns one time. That was somewhere upstate New York, but I never even heard of that.
yeah. Well, it is, in fact, I think they're now the mines are starting to close because they're running out of specimens.
Got
But
it.
other places like some of the Herkimers we have come out of China. And so, but they're clear quartz. I was complaining one time to someone about the price of Herkimer diamond bracelets, and he
Yeah.
just looked at me and he said, "Gina, have you ever mined Herkimers?" And I said, "No." And he says, "You can complain once you go and mine and see how difficult it is, and you
Right?
understand why the cost is what it is because they're little treasures, but they're also buried in these big other rocks, and you have to work with them. And so the Herkimer is a very important one. And then last but not least in this is selenite.
Oh.
And selenite is crystallized divine energy.
Hmm.
And so it embodies pure white light that opens the chakra column. And it is pretty wonderful because it cleans and clears other stones and it keeps things, anything that comes through in the other stones that are absorbing. One of the reasons we put the selenite in there is so it can just, at night, just clear it out. And then you can start all over again. And we suggest that people actually carry the kits with them during the day.
Thank you
Uh,
for sharing this.
yeah. And so that is what a PTSD kit is all about.
Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
Awesome. All
very
right.
welcome.
We're almost out of time. We got to kind
Okay.
of wrap up for today, but great show, great conversation, really.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been fun being with you and seeing you again, and we will um, figure out what we're going to have talking about next week.
I can't wait. It's so like
I
the
will bring
holiday
George.
season, you know? So, oh, good, 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 good. We could say hi.
I told him he doesn't get a choice. Well, he would if he did. He
Oh,
won't mind. He'll be happy to come.
oh, it's so cute. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. You have a
Thank you.
fantastic day, and we'll talk
Okay,
soon,
you too.
okay?
And
Thank you,
take care of
sweetheart.
yourself.
I'm
Okay.
trying. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.